watching our training video. I'm Jen. I'm a buyer's agent with the Minkiti Group Real Estate Team, and we're here to teach you a little bit today about how we conduct our buyer consultations. I'm going to be the agent, and Marie Claire, my colleague, is going to be our pretend buyer. All right, well, thank you, Marie Claire, for coming in today. We're so happy that we could have you here. The reason I wanted to have you into our office, most importantly, is to learn about you and what's important to you in your next home and what your real estate goals are. So let's hear from you first, and then we can get into some of the papers I have here for you.
Oh, sure. I'm actually working at the Washington Post right now, so I work in the DC area, and I'm renting in Columbia Heights, and I want to have a really short commute, so the metro accessibility is something that I'm looking for. I'm a first-time home buyer, so I'm also looking for any programs or incentives that are out there that I can make a use of. And I want to be in a safe neighborhood. So I've been doing some research of my own, and so I kind of went online and I found Quicken Loans, and their rates were so low. So I went ahead and got a pre-qualification or something, pre-approval.
Pre-approval?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
And so because I don't, I'm a first-time home buyer, and the high rents I've been paying, I'm gonna rely on my mom for the down payment. So my rent is up in July, but I think because she's helping me, I could probably move sooner if I saw something.
Okay. Great. Well, that's helpful to know. I've taken a few notes on some of the things that are important to you. And just by way of introduction, I have some papers that I'm going to send you home with today, some information about us. So have an agency agreement that after we have a chance to speak, I can tell you a little bit about what we do, and it will be something that we can discuss about representation. But we'll get to that in a moment after we walk through a little bit of what the process involves. So I understand we talked a little bit about what your goals are and why you're hoping to purchase. And one thing I wanted to let you know that if you decide to work with an agent here in Washington, D.C., there is no fee for working with an agent.
Oh.
So it's something we always like to point out to people. You can have a highly trained advocate at your service, and there for you is no out-of-pocket expense. So how does that sound?
Well, that's awesome. That's one of the questions I was going to ask you, was how much you charge.
Great. So the reason that there's no commission is that the commission is actually set aside by sellers of a property well in advance before a home comes on the market, before the new owner is identified, or the seller's agent, or any other specifics of the property. But in getting back to your needs, I wanted to go through a couple of points for you. You mentioned that you're a first-time home buyer, and you're interested in some programs. Have you looked into DC Open Doors or the Home Purchase Assistance Program?
No, I Googled and saw some things, but I'm not familiar with them and how to even start, applying for them, or how to, use it.
Great. Well, that's one benefit that we can underscore in working with an agent, is that your agent can help you find the best way to get down payment assistance and qualify for those first-time home buyer programs so that you can maximize your potential in purchasing a new home.
Oh, okay. So you do have experience with some of the programs?
We do. In fact, our company specializes with first-time home buyers. My clientele in specific, about 75% of my clients are first-time home buyers. So we'd be happy to help walk you through the process, educate you on what's involved and the next steps involved in purchasing a home, as well as these tools that would be available to you.
Okay, that's good.
You mentioned that you live in Columbia Heights. Have you considered some other neighborhoods out there, or do you feel pretty strongly about staying in where you've been?
Well, I did. I've considered Shaw, Petworth,
Okay.
U Street corridor, things that are close to Columbia Heights.
I think these are all things that could be great fits for you. And again, in working with myself as your agent, we can fine-tune some of the things in that neighborhood that are attractive to you.
Okay.
You mentioned public transportation, accessibility to metro. We can also look at other alternatives, Capital Bike Share and bus routes that might help get you to work as well, just as quick.
Okay.
You mentioned, obviously, that safety is a concern. Have you been to visit any of these neighborhoods?
Yep. I mean, I go to the restaurants there, and I have some friends that
Mm-hmm.
live there. So I every time I've gone to those communities, I felt pretty safe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably why I selected them.
So one thing that we have noticed, everyone's sense of personal safety varies by person to person.
Okay.
So in working with us, we can go and see properties in all different areas. We'll get a chance to speak with the neighbors. We'll get a chance to visit different areas of the city during different times of the day.
Okay.
And then we can see how you feel about the area that you decide to call your new home. How does that sound?
That sounds great. When you say speak to the neighbors, like do we go to their homes? Is that what we're
We
doing?
always see people that are out and about, people out
Oh.
walking their dogs.
Okay.
Sometimes if we're on our way into a property, we might see someone who's on their way in or out. It's
Okay.
always good to get a sense of who lives in a community, and they can give you the firsthand knowledge of what it feels like to be part of that block.
That's true. That would be great.
And tell me a little bit about Quicken Loans. You had mentioned you have pre-approval for them. How strongly do you feel about working with them? Is there a pre-existing relationship there?
No, I was just shopping online, and I was actually, I think I went to bankrate.com, and was looking for the best interest rate or the lowest, and they had one of those pop-ups, and I just clicked and I applied, and they sent me a pre-approval right away.
Great. They are a very handy tool and something that provides a great service to folks who are buying to see where they fall within the spectrum of their price range.
Okay.
But my job as an agent is also to help make you most attractive in a very competitive environment. We are seeing a lot of multiple offer situations.
Okay.
And so what I would hope to do for you as your agent is put you in a position of advantage against other buyers. And one way that we can do that is taking a look at your financing and who you're working with. Because you may not have known this, but a lot of sellers prefer to work with local banks as opposed to someone such as Quicken Loans or Rocket Mortgage. And the reason that is that local banks tend to have local appraisal departments.
Okay.
They know the nuances of the DC market, and they also have local underwriters, which means if they need to get on the phone and contact someone with your lender, you're not going to have to wait for a 2 or 3 hour time change in order to make that call. So just one thing that I would point out as an advantage of working with us as your realtors, we can help position to make you most attractive on issues such as who you're working with for your lender. We can make recommendations and point you to a couple local options that would put you on very solid footing with most sellers in the area. How does that sound?
Well, that sounds pretty good. Would they give me like a competitive rate?
Yes,
'Cause that's important to me.
Certainly.
Yeah, it would help me afford more house if my interest rate was a little
Right. No, certainly. Interest rate can definitely impact the affordability of the property that you're looking at. So what we recommend is usually contacting a couple local lenders to find out who has the best product and the best rate for you.
Okay, and you have a list for me or something?
We do,
Okay.
certainly. That's something that we can get to.
Okay, great.
But I wanted to turn back a little bit to the process just to make sure that you feel informed about what's involved in the home buying process.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about the benefits of working with an agent and that there's no fee involved. We talked a little bit about your needs and some of the things that are important to you. And we just touched again on your financing. So in working with a realtor, the next step of the process is what most folks think of as the primary step, and that's we go out and we start looking at some properties together.
Okay.
An advantage of working with a realtor and working with our company in specific is that we not only have available to us the publicly available information that everyone sees, but we can also let you know about properties that may have been expired, may have been withdrawn, other properties that are not yet listed but that are coming to market. So again, it's another way that we can help give you a leg up on the competition. So after looking at what homes are out there, which we'll do not only by visiting, but by looking through different online tools, we also sometimes will go out, we'll knock on doors, talk to neighbors, see if anyone that doesn't have a home yet for sale might be interested in the next couple months of putting their home on the market.
Okay.
When you find what you're looking for, at that point, we will put together your offer. Your offer is the beginning of the contract process. And it's going to be governed by 3 primary contingencies. Do you know what a contingency is in a contract scenario?
No.
These are basically tools that are meant to protect you as a buyer.
Okay.
The contingencies are three primary categories: your home inspection, your financing, and your appraisal.
Okay.
The home inspection is likely the most important one, and that is making sure that the home is in good condition and ready for you to occupy. You'll have an inspector come out.
Okay.
They'll look at the home from top to bottom, from every outlet to every window to every appliance, and they'll come up with a report to you.
Okay.
And that report will let you know what needs to be fixed and what you're willing to actually work on down the road.
Well, would the seller fix these things?
Precisely, that's a great question.
Okay.
There are different types of home inspections. The one that most folks are familiar with is what we consider a full home inspection.
Okay.
In that case, once you have your report and your list, you bring that list back to the seller and ask them to either fix those items,
Okay.
or if they're unwilling or unable to do so themselves, that they offer you a credit at settlement or cash that will enable you to take care of those items yourself.
Well, how would I know that that's enough cash to repair that or fix it?
Again, that's something that your agent is going to help with.
Oh, okay.
We can work with contractors, we can work with experts that will give us a sense of what those items will be to fix, so that you feel comfortable and can be assured that what you're asking for in your inspection is going to be sufficient to cover your expenses.
Okay. Sounds good.
The second category of contingency is your financing.
Okay.
In sum, what this means is that if your loan does not go through, you're not locked into purchasing a house. And the last is your appraisal. Your appraisal is done by your bank, and the purpose of that is that the bank wants to know that it is making a good investment in their investment. Because when you buy a loan or buy a home and take out a loan, the bank has the right to take that house back if you do not make your payments. So they want to make sure that that home is marketable and is priced correctly. So they'll make sure that you are making a wise purchase price on the home, and it's not above what the market will bear.
Okay.
Why these three contingencies are important is that they are ways that you can walk away from the contract if there is something that is not an agreement for you, or you cannot fulfill or come to agreement with the seller, and you still get what's called your earnest money deposit back.
Okay.
Are you familiar with an earnest money deposit?
I was actually going to ask you about that. Yeah. I was reading it, I guess. Well, I just had a story of a friend that had theirs taken away, or the seller didn't give it back.
Right.
So how would that work?
It does happen. So an earnest money deposit, by way of background, or EMD, as most folks call it, is money when you make your offer that you put forward, essentially as a down payment. That money is then held in escrow by the seller until your settlement date. And essentially it's intended to protect sellers from buyers who get cold feet, that they are walking away from a contract for no specified reason, other than they change their mind.
Okay.
These contingencies enable you to still walk away from a contract if you have that contingency that is there to protect you, and you will get your deposit back.
Okay.
100%. For the contingencies and the home inspection, we can get into a little bit more detail as we get closer to finding something for you, but we can also talk about different types of inspections that will make you more attractive in a very competitive situation.
Okay.
Those would be a general inspection or a pre-inspection, but we can talk about that in detail after we walk through the rest of the process.
Okay.
When we've decided upon these contingencies in your contract ideally is accepted by the seller. They do have the right to counter your offer, sometimes on price or sometimes on the timelines for those contingencies. Once your contract is accepted and it's been negotiated, this is the point where you as a buyer have the chance to take a step back and take a little bit of a breather. Your agent from this point is really going to be driving the process forward for you. We're going to be helping schedule appointments, schedule inspections, working with the folks that'll be coming to the house, working with your bank to make sure that your appraisal and your financing contingencies are on the calendar and that your appraisal has been ordered. So this is really where we get to work behind the scenes for you.
Okay.
Again, it's a value add of working with an agent.
Okay.
This period is basically going to be about 30 to 45 days in the DC market. Once that time has come to completion, within about 30, I would say 24 to 48 hours before your settlement, we're going to do what's called a walkthrough.
Okay.
The walkthrough is when we have the chance to walk the property together, make sure that it is the same condition as when you had your inspection done,
Okay.
and that all of the repairs that you asked the seller to do have been complete and are in good standing. Then at that point, we move to the settlement table. So the settlement, your title attorney is going to be the one in the driver's seat. I will certainly be there to answer any questions that you may have. But they're going to walk through all of your loan documents, all of the information that you've seen before, but it's going to be compiled into one packet.
Okay.
You'll do a lot of signing and look through a lot of paperwork. And at the end of the settlement, which takes typically about an hour, you will get your keys and you will be a new homeowner.
Look forward to that.
Yeah. But we also like to tell our clients that the settlement is not the end of our relationship.
Okay.
We will always be available to you if you need recommendations for contractors, painters, anything else that you feel you might need a reference or just have questions for. We're always there to call.
Okay.
We also have a lot of seminars that we put on for our happy homeowners throughout the year. So we always tell folks to keep their eyes peeled on their email. We have tax seminars that will help you identify your best tax savings for homeowners. And we have other seminars on landscaping, home valuations, all sorts of other tools that we have at your disposal. So again, we like to say settlement's not the end of our relationship, but just a continuation thereof.
Oh, fantastic.
Any questions in regard to this process? I know it's quite a bit to go through, so does this help identify in your mind the roadmap and what's involved from the beginning of the process to you taking your keys?
Yeah, it helps break it down, especially not knowing, what I need to do. So I could just, I guess, refer to this.
Great. And of course, one of our company missions is to educate first-time homebuyers.
Okay.
We believe that it's important that all of our homeowners, particularly first-time homebuyers, feel educated and empowered throughout the process. And so, do feel free as we continue to work together to refer back to this if you have any questions. There were a couple other documents that I referenced in here earlier as well that we can take a look at.
Okay.
Again, some information on us and what we feel makes us special when compared to other realtors. And some homework. These are some of the things that we talked a little bit about. I want you to take some time going through them and think about what your wish list is.
Oh, okay.
These are the things that you absolutely must have in your next home. These are the things that you would really like to have, but you're willing to forego if the property is not within your ideal price point.
Okay.
These are the things that you definitely don't want. Some people feel very strongly about basement units, first floor walk-ups. So think about what these things are when you have some time to sit down and really dive deep into what's important to you in your next home. And then we can use that to fine-tune our search as we begin to work together.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, Mary Claire, thank you so much for coming in today. I very much look forward to working with you.
Fantastic.
Let's get started.
Okay, great. I look forward to it.
Great. Thank you.